Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Education Data Analytics, the domain analytics program being conducted by 360DigiTMG. So, we are looking into 16 hours program where we'll be seeing the applications of domain analytics. Then we get into different machine learning models where we try to use different data related to education sector. So let's start to see what are the different application of education data analytics. So basically we are looking into education data. So this is the complete agenda of the 16 hours program that we are looking into related to education domain analytics. So we start with applications. Then we look into CRISP MLQ methodology. Then we see the exploratory data analysis and data pre-processing techniques. Then we have data mining, where we look into where we start with unsupervised learning. We see the flow. Okay, what happens with unsupervised learning, what happens with supervised learning. Then we look into k nearest neighbors. So the models that we have here. So we see a model related to unsupervised learning. We see certain models related to supervised learning. In supervised learning, again, we have certain classification models like k nearest neighbors, and we have decision tree, and we look into linear regression. So when then we have multi-layer perception. So let's start to look into education data. So what is education data and how we are going to do this analysis? So basically, when it comes to data analytics in education sector, it is used to record and analyze data related to universities. So where we get the data from universities, institutions, exams, trainings, government organizations, etc. So we can take like student data, where we use the demographics like age, ethnicity, and gender, whether they are full-time or part-time, if they take classes online, on campus, or mix of the two. So we will have so the data that we are going to take here, it depends on different factors here. So here we are looking into the student data. So which may contain the demographics like age, we have like ethnicity and gender. So we have the full-time and part-time data, right? So it could be related to student data. So in the same way, we have whether the classes are online or whether on campus, or it's mix of both. Okay, so this type of data we can notice. When it comes to course data, so we'll be looking into enrollment, right? How many people have enrolled? So the head count, that could be a data. The grading that people are getting. So when we complete the examination, and completion rates. Okay, we'll be looking into completion rates by program or section. When it comes to instructor data, so there could be instructor data also, right? So all these are related to education data. So when it comes to instructor data, we are looking into demographics like age, ethnicity, and gender, like salary information, productivity levels, etc. And facilities, right? So there will be certain facilities for different organizations. So classroom utilization and source allocation. So that could be one data we can get, like how many hours a week each room is being used, right? There will be certain programs will be going on when we have an educational institution, right? There could be certain conferences, there could be certain workshops. So all these are combining, we have a data. Okay, so that data we are going to organize, we are going to analyze in case of education data analysis. So in the same way, when it comes to education data analytics, it provides a unique opportunity to examine, understand, and model academic process. So there are different processes we have. There are different methodologies that we follow in supporting data analytics. For example, we have something called as learning analytics. Okay. We have academic analytics, education data mining. So learning management systems, right? So the online sessions that are going on. Okay. So we are creating different learning management systems. So the organized process of containing complete study materials like the students' assignments, everything will be created in learning management system. So these are different methodologies that we create, that we support by using data analytics. So we have to analyze the data. Based on the data analysis, we are trying to create all these different methods. In the same way, we have like massive open online courses are being created. So learning object repository. So where we have this data. So all these are different methodologies and process that we develop by using data analytics. So in the same way here, so let's understand what are these methodologies. Like for example, we have learning analytics. So when it comes to learning analytics, it is a study and teaching area that combines both human-centered design with learning, such as educational research, learning, assessment sciences, and educational technologies, and analytics, right? Which includes statistics, visualization, computer or data science, and artificial intelligence. So, what is learning analytics? It is a combination of both, right? It's a combination of human-centered design, like education research. Okay, the research that has been done on educational system. So different learnings that we are going to get from that, like the assessment sciences that we have created, right? So a lot of educational technology that has been developed. So we combine that with analytics. So basically we have statistics, visualization, computer or data sciences. All these are part of analytics. So why do we use it? Okay, why do we require learning analytics here? So what happens to improve learning strategies, right? So to improve learning strategies, learning analytics involves the measurement, collecting, analysis, and reporting the data. So what it does? So there is a specific process that we can observe here where we are going to measure the data. How do you measure the data? We have to collect the data, we have to analyze, and we have to report, and we have to measure the data. So whatever learnings we are getting, okay, that we are going to report. So why do we use it? Okay, where are we going to use learning analytics? Okay, something related to educational data. So where we are going to use this? So the important operations that we have here, okay. So the important operations of universities, such as institutional advancement. So there could be certain changes that we have to make in university, like in strategic planning, faculty development, right? All these are different programs where we are going to use learning analytics. So it plays an important role. So which comes from data analysis, right? So it's a part of education data analytics that we have. So apart from this, we will be working on different programs or department reviews, analyzing graduate placement in academia, and a host of other crucial issues that call for data supported decisions on policies and implementations. So these are different tools. Okay, these are different uh, things, different elements that we can apply by using academic analytics data and tools. So for this, learning analytics plays an important. Yeah, it's a schematic representation where we are looking into, where we are trying to understand what is learning analytics. So basically, it starts from We have learning analytics, we have academic analytics, and we have educational data mining. So these are three important parts of education data analysis, where we take the education data from the sector, educational sector. And when it comes to learning analytics, we can see we are trying to understand how students are learning and optimizing the learning process. So that is something we are trying to see. And in the same way, when it comes to business intelligence, okay, academic analytics is something related to business intelligence applied to education. So at an institutional level, or it's like a regional level and national level. So it depends on the data that we are dealing. Okay. So in the same way, predictive modeling. So extract value from big data sets. So we are going to predict, right, whether something going to happen or not. For example, when we take the data here, so when we look into the data, so the data may include, so the data may include university data. So if I'm taking university data, for example, usually we have different grants, right? So these grants may be related to the university. So universities may also apply for grants to governments, right? Or students. Generally, what happens? Students apply for university grants, right? So this is a major area where we can use the predictive analytics. So based on the previous data, I am going to predict something, right? Whether the student will get grant or not, right? Or whether a university could get grant or not. Like if I take this case here, okay, if I take the case here related to university data, so we could have the data could contain. So why the university requires the fund or grant exactly, right? So maybe like development purpose, like maybe the building renovation, right? Or maybe technological updates, right? Maybe it has to develop certain laboratories, right? Maybe scientific laboratories, or it may require more fund for the research, right? So maybe it could be a research grant, right? Scholarship for the students, or maybe the grant could be for something like maybe the library, books, journals. All these are different requirements. So what we are going to do, we are going to collect the previous data here. Using this data, we are going to predict, okay, we are going to see maybe like university 1, okay, university 2, university 3, we have all these details, and maybe it has been granted, the grant has been successful, so not successful. So using this data, I am going to apply the predictive analytics, right? So these are different applications that we can see when it comes to educational data analytics. So yeah, when we look into the learning management system, like we have learning analytics that we have seen, this is one method that we have here. So what we have here, only educational data analytics can create the learning management systems, right? Which are computer programs or web-based tools used to design. So we carry out and evaluate certain learning processes here. So LMS is used for e-learning process, and in its most basic configuration, it consists of two components: a server that handles the essential functions and a user experience that is managed by teachers, learners, and administrators. right? So all these could be managed by a single system called as learning management system. So many online resources such as MOOCs, right? Learning Object Repository, LOR, open course where that we have, open educational resources that we have, and we have like social media offer a flexible and inexpensive approach to enhance your career and develop new skills by using these methods and deliver high quality education opportunities at capacity. So these are different uses that we can see when it comes to learning management systems here. So yeah, why do we require this data analytics here? Why do we require the data analytics in education system? So we have the education industry. We have a lot of data. Like as we have seen, the data comes from students, the data comes from different universities. So we have universities all over the world. Okay, we may get a data from schooling, right? From schools to universities, all this is the data. So now we are trying to use that data. So what do we have here? When we have advantages, maybe we can start from performance management, right? So there is, we are looking into something called as performance management. So what is the performance, okay, of a particular student? What is the performance of a particular lecturer, right? So this is something we can manage. We can look into personalized tuition, right? So there are certain apps that are being developed nowadays where they provide a personalized tuition to each and every student. Like we can create a matching mentors, right? So there are certain projects where I require a mentor. So what I'm going to do, I am going to look into, oh, I am going to create an application where I can get a matching mentors. Maybe we can increase the revenues, right? We have participatory teaching that can be developed here. Career prediction we can do. Craft better curriculums, right? Based on the previous curriculums, based on the data we can collect, based on the intake values that we are getting here. So I can create a better curriculum here, right? I can create a better curriculum here. So discover best practices, right? We can discover best practices here. So we can research performance, standard measurement. All these are different advantages that we are looking into here. These are the applications. These are the different applications. Okay. So based on the data that we are having, so we can have different applications here. Yeah, so as we have discussed the learning analytics process, it's a very important process where it starts from data collection. We have to analyze the data and we have to intervene. Okay, so what happens exactly? So let's see with some example here. Okay, here we are having the action. Okay, actor and action part. Okay, where we have a object. So there are two different people here, Sarah and John. We are looking into. So Sarah accessed the forum and John passed the assessment. So these are two different values we have. So I am collecting the data. Now, when it comes to descriptive analytics, what we are trying to do, 76% of students have watched the module introduction video. Right? Module introduction video has been watched by 76 people. And what is the prediction here? 11% of school, 10 students are at risk of withdrawal year. Right? These are certain studies that we can make. Okay. Then the part comes about the prescriptive analytics. So what we do here, we review, it will be reviewed by human. So determine if intervention is required or not. Okay. And the conversation, how to convert this, right? So dialogue between students and staff at all levels could convert this, right? What we have predicted, we have predicted that only 11% of school, 10 students are at risk of withdrawal in year one. So we have to bring this down. So we are going to increase the uh, interaction between students and staff. Okay, different levels, so that they could understand what should be done. So predictive analytics, and there are many different applications that we can notice here, right? So when I see the data, okay, when I look into these values here, so what we have, like so first thing that we are going to look here is knowledgeable student guidance, right? So a particular guidance is very much required, okay, and how we are going to do with the predictive analytics. So that's pretty interesting, right? So with the use of predictive analytics, it is possible to spot people who have irregular attendance patterns and provide them with the advice, right? So that is something we can do. So I can create a model where automatically we are trying to detect these people, okay, with the irregular attendance. In the same way, this could enable the support team to connect with the students and keep them from the falling below the required level of attendance. So these are few things that we can do by using predictive analytics. As a result, it assists in contacting students promptly and provide the appropriate assistance and support before the issue escalates, right? So these are certain things that we can do. So what is happening here? So there is a student. So initially we are having a data, okay, we are having a student data, and we are looking into attendance, right? So we have created a model where we could create certain threshold, okay, and if the attendance is falling beyond this threshold, so the management could take a special interest on these people and maybe they can interact with, right? So that is one thing we can do. So in the same way, more effective enrollment management, that is also very important, like we are seeing here. So predictive analytics enables educational institutions to determine which pupils are dependable and have exceptional potential based on their records in the classroom. So uh, we are going to recognize them. So what we are going to do, these students can then be well prepared for their examinations by the institution's own departments. Similar to that, it also makes it possible to make a number of modifications in the classrooms where students aren't doing well, right? So how we are getting this? We are creating a machine learning model. We are creating a predictive analytics model, so which enables the educational institutions to recognize these, right? So this is one way of understanding the data, right? So these are specific examples that we have. So in first case, what we are trying to do, I am using a predictive analytics model here. So where I have a educational data, and in this data, we are trying to look into the irregular attendance patterns. So I have created a model which recognizes the irregular attendance patterns. So we are trying to recognize these patterns here. And now, if I know the irregular attendance patterns of particular students, I am going to advise them, right? So we can provide a specific advice on by concentrating on this particular people, right? And this will enable the support team to connect to them, right? So we have created a model so that could recognize these students. And we can so the prescriptive analytics, right? So we start with descriptive analytics and then we go for prescriptive analytics. So in case of prescriptive analytics, what we are going to do, the team will be connecting with the students and keep them from falling below the required level. So we have the attendance pattern, right, in colleges and all. So they may say that 60% of attendance is mandatory for attending any exam. So if it is below the 60%, so they will not allow me to write an exam, right? So that is something very important. So the attendance that has to be made. So we create a pattern here. We create a pattern here So we look into trends and patterns in the data, and we get to this. We try to create a machine learning model. So that can happen. Okay, this is something related to the application. Okay, one of the application of predictive analytics specific. Okay, so when how we are going to use the predictive analytics, and the one more uh, reason that we have seen here. Okay, here we are looking into uh, so where the predictive analytics which enables so dependable and have exceptional potential students. So people who have exceptional potential, we are going to record them from their classes, right? So based on their exams, based on their performance, so we are going to take the data and we can concentrate on them, right? So we can make them well prepared for their exams. So this could be done in both ways also. So people who are not performing well, so we can concentrate on that group, or people who are performing, we can concentrate on that. So the help could be provided on both sides. So we can create a model. Okay, we can create a model where we can get this. Okay, so yeah, along with this, when we look into predictive analytics in education system, it allows for flexible learning. So the use of predictive analytics by lecturers and professors, so this enables them to pinpoint the academic curriculum gaps. So wherever the students are facing certain issues, so wherever they are experiencing certain gaps in the curriculum, so they can fill that gaps by using this particular learning system, right? I can know, okay, I can get the feedback by looking into the feedback. We can do the analysis. So they can also alter the academic modules to fit each student's learning style. So these are certain modules or methods that are being developed in education system by using the historical data. And as teachers can deliver richer learning experiences with more regular feedback. So we are going to take the feedback. Based on the feedback, I can run some text mining, a module. And based on that, I can find the feedback, whether it is a negative feedback or a positive feedback. So how the sentiment of this particular feedback, and people are speaking about which specific thing. Okay, all this we can recognize. So basically, what happens in predictive analytics? So we define a project. So here specifically we are discussing about the educational data. So then we collect data, then we analyze data, then we look into statistics, then we build a model, then we deploy it. Okay. So the predictive analytics goes this way. So the 6 different phases of CRISPR-MLQ. So let's look into certain use cases where we specifically use education analytics and predictive analysis. So, for example, here we are looking into precautions in determining absentees classes. So, one of the most important criteria in establishing a student's pay range, right? And return on investment is attendance. So, how many days this person is attending, right? Attendance plays an important role for any student. So, that is one thing. So, as more students drop out of school, institutions can investigate the reasons why. Usually we see mostly in government sectors. So we recently has worked on a project where we worked on the dropouts, right? From government schools, why people are are dropping out. So yearly, what is the dropout range that we have? So we try to evaluate a model. We have tried to create a model. Okay. So to estimate these dropouts and to analyze the data, that could be a use case. That could be a very good use case to work on the educational data. Or so when it comes to here, maybe the institutions can investigate the reasons why, like such as health issues or financial difficulties, and provide individualized support to these students. right? So that we can do, that could be a use case when it comes to education system, and promotes personalized and detailed attention, right? So everyone has a different rate of learning and comprehension. So everyone is not same or a learning deficiency. For an example, okay. So, but you can't rely on their facial expressions to determine if they get your lesson or not. So recently we have created AI tutor. Okay, there is an app that we have created. So what happens here? So if you sit in front of of your machine, and if you are listening the class, so your facial expressions will be captured, and based on that, we are going to get a feedback. Right? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling sleepy? Right? Are you sleeping or listening in the class? Right? All these things we are trying to capture by using AI tutor. Right? So these are different tools that we can develop. Okay. Based on that, we can give a feedback to the student. Right? So this is what happening. Or you can give a feedback to the maybe the tutor. So maybe he tried to make some improvements in his lecture. Right? So all this can be happening. So here in this case, where we are looking into, so we are trying to create a personalized model where we look into the expressions to determine if they get your lesson or not. So they aren't getting anywhere with speculation or intuition either. So they are being capturing with complete expressions. So predictive models enable you to pinpoint children that require further care. So that is something we can do by using this model. So the AI tutor is a perfect example that we have created. So we are trying to capture the attendance, we are trying to capture the mood of the student, okay, or how he is listening to the class, right? All these things will be captured by AI technology. So it's a facial recognition and facial expressions that we are trying to capture, right? So is he in front of the camera? Is he sleeping? Right? Everything can be known by using this technology. So so by using this, there are many advantages. Okay, when it comes to prescriptive analytics, I can use this to improve to give certain suggestions to tutor, or I can give suggestions to student. Or maybe if we couldn't able to capture many things, maybe we can concentrate on that particular student also. So these are certain things that we can change by using the machine learning technology. So we can use the specific data indicators to identify their issues before they ever materialize and set up specialized training for better results. So these are certain use cases that we can see here. Along with that, lowest college dropout rates. Exactly, right? So here we have taken certain examples related to US education system. What we have for students between the ages of 16 and 24 in the US, the dropout rate is at sorry, so is at an all-time high level of 5.4%. So what is happening here? So most of the people in the ages between 16 and 24, they are dropping out. So they do not want to continue their education. So what results here? The cost of unemployment. So not only lowers ROA for students, but it also has a negative social and economic impact on the working class. So this is something happening. So if any department notices a sharp increase in the dropout rate, predictive analytics is higher education. Okay, in higher education can be quite helpful, right? So what we can do, I can create a model where I can recognize what is happening with the students rate. So I am going to keep on looking into every month, maybe, right? So by looking into this data, if I see a sudden drop, okay, so we can take certain measures and we can prevent it. It's an use case that we can see very clear. If I take feedbacks, yes, right. So examining staff and student feedbacks, it's very important. Okay, because for the improvement of the university, for the improvement of the education institution, the feedback is very important. So the main issue with verbal or written feedback is that it is sometimes overshadowed by the weight of other thoughts. So when we are saying something or when we are writing something, maybe there could be issue of it could be impacted from any other effect, right? So in order to improve the institutions procedures, the technology can now gather all the online input sources. I can create a survey, right? By creating a survey, I can prepare certain questions so that can give me the knowledge. Okay, what people are thinking about the institution, what students are thinking about the institution. So at what rate, okay, at what places we have to change, right? So these are certain things we can learn by using a survey, right? So we are going to create a survey so the institutions may improve their educational and financial standing, and they can close any gaps to give students high quality education, right? So the feedback plays an important role. So the feedback from staff and students, okay, that we are taking, that may help a lot. So in improving the institution. Along with that, we have like it highlights the most recent educational trends, right? So if I take the data, okay, if I am taking some educational data and I am using it for predictive analytics. So what happens here? So institutions must determine what benefits them and students as well as what does not. So educational practice needs to be able to evaluate their teaching strategies. So the evaluation of teaching strategies that plays an important role, right? So evaluating teaching strategies and their applicability to students' growth. So this will be something important. Okay, just like any other organizational practice. So we have to evaluate the teaching strategies that we have. So are we going in similar way? Okay, maybe these methods should be changed, right? We have to analyze that. So the analysis comes from the educational data, the previous data that or these organizations struggle to assess the effectiveness of their systems in the absence of specific data. If we do not have specific data, maybe we are not getting this analysis right, right? So the historical data, that is very important, and we will be looking into the educational trends, what is happening. Okay, are we going in the same process and we are not changing anything? All these are very, and like we have some more educational applications of predictive analytics. If you see, like individualized support for the poor, minorities, and peoples of color, right? When it comes to USA, so these are different things we are going to consider, right? So if I want to provide a support, I need to analyze this data and maybe comprehensive analysis of important performance metrics, and maybe suggestions for modifications. We can give the suggestions for modifications, making sensible decisions at every step of the educational cycle. So how we are going to do that? By using predictive analytics, and the data that we are getting here is from educational sector. Okay? So we call it as educational data analytics. So finally, so the institutions may improve their educational and financial standing and close any gaps to give students high quality education. So that's a major thing. Okay. That's a major factor that we are going to look at. So there are many other applications. For example, we discuss a use case here. What do we have? Like recently we have done a project. So we have taken certain data. Okay, like the post COVID data we have taken for 2 years. And the data is something related to the graduate students, okay? Not less than graduate students. We have taken the data related to graduate students. And here, so it's something related to NEET. Okay, the national educational system. Okay, the organization that we have. So we have done some project to NEET. Okay, so what we have done here, so we have taken the graduates data, and this is something related to student suicides, and we have to look into the data here, and we have to say what are the primary reasons why these people are committing suicides. So how we have done this project here, so from where we are going to get this data. Okay, that is one major challenge here in this project. So we have got this, so we have taken this data from different newspapers, different news articles were taken. So basically, we have started with a text mining project. So from these all articles, so wherever we have suicide cases, okay, so that articles, that text was taken here, and we have done some text mining where we have found certain words that are most repeated. So these words were collected, and based on this, we have given certain scores to this. So maybe if we have more score, so that is the major reason. If you have less score, that has the preliminary reason, right? So finally, we came with some application. We came up with some mobile application where we are going to give certain form. Okay, we have created a survey. Okay, we have taken the help of a domain expert, a psychiatrist, and we have created a form. Okay, we have created a form, and we have created a system such a way that this form will be filled by students, parents, and maybe lecturers as well. Okay, so there were certain changes in these questions, but basically this project was meant for students. So what happens based on the students answers, okay, we try to predict whether this person is is there any chance of suicidal nature or not. Okay, is there any help required? Okay, if we feel that based on my model says that his answers are very depressing, right? Maybe this person may be in some sort of depression. So there what we have done, so that case will be handed over to some specialist, okay, to give him some help, right? So this is a model that was created to universities. So how we got this data, this is also something related to education data analytics, right? It is one way of one example of one use case, we can say. And there are several applications, right? By here we are discussing about the applications of education data analytics, right? So we can see the, yeah. So why do we use data analytics in education industry in general? Okay, so creating personalized education, right? If I want to create a personalized education, so we are nowadays using the data analytics. Okay, so creating, how do we create? Okay, how do we create the personalized education? So what we are going to do? So universities are using data analytics for creating tuition systems that suit an individual's unique need. Like I may require certain subject. Okay. So like if I am working on statistics, like if I'm learning data science, right? If I'm working on data science, so I am a statistician. So if I'm a statistician, I have certain idea on maths and I have certain idea on statistics, but I don't know programming, right? I'm weak in program. So I don't have any idea on program. So I can personalize the teaching. Okay, I can personalize the education system, and I can make my own changes here, right? So that I can pay only for program. That can be, okay, this is mostly being applicable in many European countries. So data analytics systems can also detect and match the grades. So that is also we can do here, right? In the same way, for measuring performance management, this is also very important. So what we have here, the management team, okay, the management team of educational institutions can easily measure their actual performance against their mission, right? So we are going to compare. And management can also use data analytics to monitor students and teachers' activities. Right? We can get the data regularly, and based on that data, we can do our analysis. And here we can see the applications that we have, like measuring standard. Okay, we measure your standard with other institutions worldwide. Yeah, right. So we might hear like top 200 colleges in the world, top 200 colleges in the world, like UTM, right? University Technology Malaysia. It is one of the top 200 colleges in the world, right? So how we are measuring it? So we are measuring the performance, right? So we are measuring the performance of the management against their different universities, right? So data analytics can also measure its standing with other educational institutions nationwide or worldwide. Top 100 colleges in India, top 200 colleges in US, right? How we are going to get this? So this we are going to get by using different data. So what do we have here for evaluating research performance, right? So the another advantage of data analytics that we have is it offers monitoring and giving information on research performance. So there are different universities, so they are working on different grants. How do they get grants? Based on the previous research. So what research they have done before, right? How many papers they have published. So this is a data that will be looked into when the research grants will be allotted to that particular college. So the college has done nothing. So they cannot. So how to evaluate that, bro? So with the previous grants they have provided to the university, so they are going to evaluate number of research publications they have done. So based on that, new grants will be given to them, right? So this is one application that we can see related to educational analytics. And to discover best practices and monitor students, right? As we discussed earlier, so digital software that we build by using data analytics, so we can track how a student answers every test question, right? So I have given 10 different questions. I'm asking you to answer them. So I am going to do this every day for 1 year. So I am going to use this data and see how best you are in that particular subject, right? So the methods and ways that brilliant students use in responding correctly can be taught to other less performing students, right? We can record these things and we can use them to develop a less performing students' abilities. That can be done. So this gives low performing students insight on the best practices to getting higher grades. That can be performed. And one more thing is like to improve and craft better curriculum. Yeah, this is always a requirement. So data analytics can help improve the curriculum for students considerably. So there is an increase in learning through computerized software programs. So these programs collect data on how well the students understand what has been taught. Right? So these all been developed and these all been used to record the students' performances here. And yeah, making career prediction, one of the most important application that we can see, right? Subjects that students pass well can be put together by data systems, and it can use this information to predict or advise on a possible career path. So if you are very good in statistics, maybe I can suggest you something, right? So I am going to create a model, so which will be looking into all your performance and all your subjects, and based on that, it is going to suggest you something, right? Maybe you could be a better data scientist, right? So that could be one thing that we can do, or maybe like boosting participatory teaching. Yeah, maybe data analytics can give educational institutions deep insights on performance students. Like the system can identify if the student only needs to be brought up to speed, or if they truly cannot comprehend the subject they are taught. So these are few things, right? We are going to study this. So how well the student is participating. Okay. So when I am teaching something, maybe he couldn't able to get to the speed or at which I'm teaching him, or really he couldn't able to comprehend the subject. Right? These two factors that we have to look into. So all these can be recorded, can be noticed, can be analyzed by using education data analytics. And revenue, right? So exactly, revenue plays an important role. So the university management can get real-time data on staff, student, and general well-being of the institution using data. So schools have been able to create personalized tuition for students, which in turn increased student retention and therefore increased revenue. So if I can retain the students, like we have discussed about dropouts, right? So if I can solve that issue, if I can rectify that issue, and if I can retain these students, so what happens? I can increase the revenue of the institution. That can be done. And matching students with mentor, exactly. Like this is similar to matching in mentorship programs. So in professional fields such as Society for Petroleum Engineers, SPE matches. Okay. Yeah. So the example that we have seen here, the Society for Petroleum Engineers. So SPE matches young professionals or new graduates with more experienced professionals. Right. So to matching these mentors, okay, so they give the mentors in the same field, and by that they proceed their research, right? So this is done by using the previous data, right? By using the previous data, they are going to do this match. Okay. So these are all different applications of education data analytics. So when we look into the market analysis, so when it comes to education and learning analytics market, we can see the end users are academics and enterprise. And the CAGR that we can see between 2017 and 2026, that is expected is like that will grow up to 18.62%. So the different components that we are going to use are the software and services. These are required. So what are the applications? So how is the market is increasing? Okay, so where do we have this market? So when we look into education data analytics, so it is worldwide, right? In the North America. So here we can see the graph where I can see a lot of education institutions that are involving in education data analytics programs. So North America, Europe, Asia Pacific. Okay. So we can see it's still developing in Middle East and Africa and Latin America. Okay. But most of this, so we can see a lot of growth. So North America is the major market that we can see, and Asia Pacific is the fastest growing market. Okay, when it comes to the education analytics. And what are the different analytics types we have here? Predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, and descriptive analytics. And what are the different deployment methods we can use on-premise or cloud-based? And these are the different regions. And what are basic drivers? We can look into interactive videos, simulations, artificial intelligence, computer learning. All these are different uh, drivers that we use to build educational data analytics, to take the educational data analytics. And what are the basic restraints? Why it is very low in African countries, Middle East countries? So basically, the internet connectivity, right? That could be the major reason that we can see here. And opportunities, digitalization of certain systems, rural development, all these are different opportunities that we can see in case of education data analytics. So we can clearly see there will be a clear growth up to 2026. This is a raise in educational data analytics. So we see a lot of private organizations that are coming into education. There are many engineering colleges. There are many universities all over the world, IITs, IIMs. So there is a lot of data from taking from schools, government schools, private schools. So everywhere we are getting a lot of data. Apart from that, there are many individual training centers. So everywhere we are going to get a lot of data. And yeah, as we have seen many applications, okay, some more. Like I can see people acquisition and retention, like retention of dropout students that we have seen, curriculum development and intervention, performance management, budget and finance management, operations management, and there are many, right? So these are different applications that we have already seen. So this is how we are analyzing the education and learning market to be in future. Okay. So some example that we have taken. Yeah, thank you. So, so today we have seen the applications of education and data analytics. So from tomorrow, we will start with CRISPR-MLQ methodology. Then we will be looking into what are different phases that we have, and we'll be looking into data preparation and model. Okay, EDA part, exploratory data analytics. And then we continue with model building part. So we try to look into each and every model that we have, and we try to take an use case that is related to education analytics. And we try to analyze it. Okay, we try to build a model and we try to predict, we try to classify. Okay, let's look into all these steps from the next session. Yeah. Thank you, friends. Have a great day.